Would you believe that the sport that we know as IndyCar racing today has been running road courses since 1909? That season, the first 5 events were contested on road courses, a couple of which were no more than backcountry roads that were derived little more from cattle and horse paths that were long there before the invention of the combustion engine car. Whether dirt, concrete, wooden board, or in the case of Indianapolis Motor Speedway, paved with bricks, ovals became the norm from 1918 onwards, while road races became a bit more of a novelty. Whether they were either non-points paying races like the Pikes Peak Hill Climb or grandiose spectaculars like the Vanderbilt Cup. From 1948 to 1964, Pikes Peak Hill Climb was the only road-related event on the schedule, albeit a non-points race. It wasn't until 1965 that USAC decided to schedule 2 road course events as part of their championship schedule. They promoted Pikes Peak to a points-paying event, say that a bunch of times with all those P's there, and adding a 3rd date to their home base in the Indianapolis area. For years, Indy hosted 2 championship events. Of course, the 500 race in the spring and a 100-mile race at the Indiana State Fairgrounds in the fall. USAC decided a summer date, which would become the Hoosier Grand Prix, held in a facility known now as Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. This event became notable for the first ever IndyCar race won by Mario Andretti. 1966 the schedule grew to 3 road courses with the addition of a non-championship event and Fuji Speedway in Japan. The success of these 3 events led to the biggest road course expansion on the schedule in 1967 that would not be seen again until the 80s. 66 featured 5 road courses, including stops at Moss Sport and Riverside. The trend peaked in 68 with a high of 7 road races, but decreased every year from 69 to 71, where eventually none appeared on the schedule whatsoever. From 71 to 76, paved ovals, mainly consisting of 1-mile tracks and super speedways, were the norm. Road courses wouldn't return to the schedule until 77 to 78, but once again, they were seen more of as one-off novelty and less of a concerted effort by USAC to truly diversify their Champ Car schedule. It was about this time that the owners began to see that road racing was catching on internationally and a lot of potential income was being overlooked as the sanctioning body continued to ignore the growing trend. It wasn't really until the formation of CART that road races became the norm on the schedule. The 1984 season featured the most road courses on the schedule since the 1968 season, highlighted what would become the most prestigious road course race on the yearly schedule, the Grand Prix of Long Beach. To the teams, drivers, and fans, Long Beach was the party that kicked off the season that attracted the glitz and glamour of nearby Hollywood, giving the event a Formula One type feel. Long Beach ran nearly continuously from 84 to today, surviving the IndyCar Civil War and suffering only one hiccup due to the worldwide pandemic in 2020. It really wouldn't be a complete IndyCar season with Long Beach off the schedule. Think of it this way. If IndyCar is the champagne of the IndyCar season, then Long Beach certainly is its caviar. Hello again, everybody. Thanks for listening to that. I am Gary Gotso, sitting in for Matt Houston, and welcome to Race First coverage of Round 7 of the Revolution IndyCar League's Schaeffer IndyCar Series, coming to you tonight from the Long Beach Grand Prix and the course here just in SoCal, just off the course. Joining me for expert analysis in the booth from the NHR eSports team in the Lionheart IndyCar Series is Steven Larkamp. Steven, apologies. I know I talked way too much about the IndyCar road course racing, but let's get you into tonight's event. We have 40 laps, 30-plus cars, and dozens of things that can go wrong in Turn 1. Put yourself in the shoes of these drivers. How do you prepare to survive? But how do you prepare only just to race?
Well, Long Beach has always been a track that has rewarded consistent driving and really just taken it easy on your equipment more than almost any other track on the IndyCar schedule, at least as far as iRacing is concerned. So Long Beach it's one of those tracks, once again, where having the pace is nice, but not really having it can also doesn't doom your race to begin with, because a lot of people may well use that pace not so much for positive ends, and it ends up in the wall and all in tears and broken car parts,
and all that stuff. Yeah.
Indeed, we see that more often than we would like to see. But it has become a fixture, perhaps not just of Long Beach, but of street racing in general, with the close confines of the track and the nature of the course running on public roads that, of course, see a lot more uses than any conventional circuit would at any other time of the year. Running down, especially in a city like Long Beach, as populous as it is, and right along the coast here as well, very popular with tourists. So we're going to have a very, very bumpy racetrack in close confines, and that means it's a track where, as much as you want to go fast and test the limits, those limits are pretty well defined, and it'd be wise to stay within them.
Well, we're coming on the air a little bit early today to let you guys watch qualifications because there are so many cars entered in today's race. What they are doing is it is a closed qualifications, meaning individual cars are on the track, even though it doesn't look like it here. But believe it or not, these guys are qualifying individually on their own with no other cars on the track. So that's because of they were afraid that the traffic would kind of screw some things up. Right now, I got about just less than 7 minutes left in qualifying here. Provisionally on the pole is Nate Seifert, the defending Formula Indy Series champion. Right behind him is two-time Revolution IndyCar League champion Caleb Bency. Right behind him is the Velocity IndyCar Racing League, Velocity Online Racing League's IndyCar Series two-time champion Alex Van de Sant. And then there's Johan Shirai. I guess he doesn't have any titles that we know of, but he's sitting there in fourth. But the lap time is a 1:07.955. So doing some research, and really I think Wiki kind of threw me askew on here because this is kind of the...
Bruno Miranda to the top of the board.
Yeah, Bruno Miranda, 107.753. Very nice. The Wiki is kind of a skew here on what the official track record might be. Now, Long Beach has gone through a number of reconfigurations. It has been in its current state from about 2000 on. My favorite one was the one that ran in the 90s. That's my favorite configuration. I'm not a big fan of this going around the fountain. It looks picturesque, but it doesn't really offer much racing opportunities there, in my opinion. But as far as I can tell,
there can be some sordid opinions and comments on that one.
I'm sure. And chat, you're welcome to challenge me on that. I don't care. But here's where maybe chat can help out. As far as I know, that I could dig up, Elio Castroneves for Team Penske in 2017, driving the DW12, has a track record, and this is a qualifying track record, of 106.2254. Now, Wiki says Joseph Newgarden has a record, but I believe, as I can tell, that was a race lap. I do not.
Wikipedia usually does it with race lap.
Race lap, okay. So what I don't know is 2000 when CART came here. I don't think they were faster. I think they might have been about a second off or so. But if somebody can pull up that information, what near as I could find is it might have been Gilles de Ferran on the pole with like a 107 that year, which wouldn't be surprised. That was his championship year in CART in 2000. But I don't know officially if that is if he went faster or slower than Castroneves in 2017. I think Castroneves in 2017 is the track record. But I just don't want to say that and somebody come back and chat and say, oh, that's not right. Yes, well, help me out, chat. If it isn't, point me in the right direction and we'll get it taken care of. But we're about another 5 minutes away here from the race here starting. We're going to have, I'm not sure if we're going to have a full pace lap or a partial pace lap. But while we're waiting for that to happen, go ahead and explain tonight how the starting lineup will work because of so many cars in the lineup. They're trying to make things fair make sure everyone's out of that hairpin before setting the field loose on green.
Indeed, and with such a large field we've got here, 32 cars in total entered. We won't have enough to bump people tonight the way it's standing right now. But still, with 32 cars on such a close confined racetrack, and of course, if you know anything about Long Beach, there's one corner in particular that you'll be questioning about immediately, and that is the hairpin. Turn 11, the final corner leading onto the front straightaway. And what normally happens here is that when the pace car comes around with the leaders, only the first 3, 4, maybe 5 rows are lined up and ready to go here. And that was largely because when the pace car peels off, the field is in the hands of the pole sitter, and of course the pole sitter would like to start the race on their own terms.
Sure.
Tonight though, to make things a bit more even, it's an interesting experiment that they're trying out here tonight, and that is to, once they come around the corner, they will line everyone up as much as they possibly can. And when iRacing throws the green flag, that's not when they're going to go. Instead, when they actually cross the start-finish line itself is when they're going to go. That is supposed to give the drivers a more of an opportunity to get more rows lined up before we go green and to give more people a fighting chance. Because Of course, if you're mired in the back of the pack there, that hairpin is going to space out cars a lot normally. So this is going to be a way to try and get more people closer to the front on the start of the race as we possibly can. It's an interesting way to try and alleviate a long-standing problem with Long Beach, and I'm going to be keen to see if it's going to be successful or not.
Hey, before we get started, if you enjoy race first coverage of the RIL or the FIS or the Monday Night Indy Split, and you respect our weekly stream and all the work we put into it, make sure you do support us by smashing the like button below and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. And with that, we're about 2 minutes, 45 seconds away from getting this thing underway provisionally on the pole. Bruno Miranda, Nate Seifert, P2, Caleb Benzie, P3. That is Christopher Hill in P4, Nicholas Johnson, P5. My man, Julian Altina, my teammate there in the Velocity Online Racing Series in P6. Alex Van de Sant, P7. Johan Shirai, P8. That is, who is that short? That is... Matthew Short, who did not qualify at Phoenix. He is now in the top 10 here. And Lucas Santos, who was involved in one of those many caution laps, many caution events at Phoenix. And while we're talking about that, let's go ahead and put the results from the last race here up on the screen. There you see it. And the overlay is very appropriate with... Gavin Sanders, who I don't think is here in the lineup tonight, and we'll talk about that and why later, a little bit later. But Gavin Sanders, of course, coming under the starter stand with the caution flag flying. 14 cautions for some like 50 some odd laps last week at Phoenix. We're not going to anticipate any full course cautions tonight, we hope, but there is that possibility, but I doubt we're going to have 14 of them here at Long Beach. Now, with the point situation, let's get that off the screen to show you the point situation. Caleb Benzie is your current leader. Gavin Sanders is P2, Nate Seifert P3, Dakota DeMade P4, Johan Shirazi P5, James Watson P6, Shane Coogan P7, Michael Holler P8, Christopher Hill P9, and Sean Ryan is in the 10th spot. There you see these are all the points as of today. You see the big mover last week was Sean Ryan and James Watson. Gavin Sanders, who won last week's race, gets a little bit closer to Caleb Benzie, who did not have a great race last week. Did not have a great race last night, so he's definitely looking to rebound after a couple bad IndyCar races here lately. But that is the current point situation here in the RIL. Back onto the on-track action, about 40 seconds left, and really most everyone is holding station currently at the moment. Showing P11 is Dakota DeMade, followed by Yoshikawa, Spath, Cosgrove, Shepard, Ryan, Watson, Matt Houston. Normally he's in the booth with us. He's taking a little bit of a deserved night off, and he is in the lineup tonight, P18. Coogan 19, Holler 20, Smith 21, Weisbrod, that's World War III, of course, 22nd, and Lewis Woodall 23rd. And we'll get a more expanded view of the starting lineup here in about 10 seconds.
As qualifying winds down, checkered flag is out, and it is the number 119 of Bruno Miranda, nearly a half a second up on Nate Seifert. A very strong qualifying lap for the Brazilian.
Yeah, we see him notably as an oval racer in the fixed, the Monday Night Fixed Series, and he is showing up large here on the pole. So a very diversified racer.
Indeed, and we saw he had a good performance on the Monday night broadcast of Road America. Of course, his tire strategy may have depleted a potential win down to third position, but it was still a very strong showing there. The guy can obviously run fast on ovals and on road courses too, and right now he's looking to be the guy to beat.
We're trying to get a better view of the starting lineups here, but we'll go ahead and show you tonight's starting lineup from Long Beach. If it will come up. There it is. On the pole, Bruno Miranda, P2, Nate Seifert, P3, Caleb Benzie, P4, Christopher Hill, P5, Nicholas Johnson, and P6, my man Julian Altina. Going on back to the next six, if it will go on back for me here. Always a race to get these things in here. Actually, if you could read them off, then maybe that might be the best thing, because
Right. So 7th place will be Alex Van de Sant alongside Johan Shirazi, Matthew Short, and Lucas Santos round out the top 10, 9th and 10th respectively. Dakota DeMeg, P11, alongside Nagisa Yoshikawa, and rolling out row 6. Logan Spath and Matt Cosgrove on row number 7. Nicholas Shepard and Sean Ryan, row 8, 15th and 16th. James Watson and our good friend Matt Houston in P18. Good luck, Matt. Shane Coogan, 19th, alongside Michael Holler, rounding out the top 20th on row number 10. Derek Smith and Will Weisbrod, the 3rd, 21st and 22nd. Lewis Woodall and Joshua Tucker, and JJ Wang and Joey Reynolds. Maxon Obenauer and Michael Hennekamp will be 27th and 28th. Brody Garner, 29th, and Brody Garner, 29th. Nicholas Isidro, 30th. Neil Lusher, 31st, Christopher Kresge, 32nd, Rhett Reynolds, 33rd, and shotgun on the field, the 57 of Peter Donchak. As a very quick pace lap here, they started them on the backstretch. We're about to go green right about now. And let's see how this experiment will work. Pace car is already peeled off. We're trying to get everyone bunched together. iRacing's green flag is flying.
And we're gone.
There.
And I don't think he really knew the starting procedure. And we are underway, and the field is in chaos right now, coming down to turn 1.
That will suggest to me, if the stewards are on that one, that may be a jump start for Bruno Miranda. And Nate Siefker already on the radio to say, hey, that didn't seem quite right what Bruno did. But already, Siefker has lost a spot now to Caleb Bensi, and I believe they've told Miranda what they're doing. He's backing off now. And now Bensi is going to be all over the back end of that 119 machine to try and make up as much ground as possible. The front runner starting on the reds. And, we already have some lap cars already.
I think I'm not sure how Neil Lusher got on the other side of the barrier there, but looks like he might have drove through. I know a couple cars started on pit road. I think Julian Altena did. I'm pretty sure Matt Houston did. This is going to be interesting. Already, I'll tell you what, if I'm further back in the field, I am probably thinking about already protesting this start. This should probably either go under caution and do another start, which would have to be coordinated, of course, between everybody, or just bring it under caution and bunch the field back up. But that's I don't know. I mean, you're part of. And I'm not going to badmouth Miranda, because everyone gets a chance to read the boards and everything. But it was an announcement in the RIL board about tonight's starting procedure. We were worried about that. And Caleb Bensi.
He's slowing up to let Siefker back by.
Oh, and he's also opened the door for Johnston.
May have had some problems there for Caleb Bensi. Under attack right now from the 82 machine of Nicholas Johnston for P3. Johnston cuts back on the inside. He's going to be looking down the back straightaway as they head to turn number 9. Very good overtaking spot here. Johnston to the inside. He'll maybe squeeze him out a little bit. Siefker and Bensi tries to fight back. Not quite doing it there. Johnston starting the race on the harder tire, by the way. He is up to P3 with the 2 soft compound runners in front of him. Johnston could have a very good run later on in this stint and maybe even close the gap and possibly take the race lead.
Yeah, he is sitting in what I would call the proverbial catbird seat here. Got a couple cars coming off pit road.
Bensi tried to lunge there at Nicholas Johnston a bit early there, but that was a very close call there. He had a look there, not quite doing it there. He had to back out of it.
So we've had some incidents on the track already, going back to looks like P20. Everybody from P20 on back has served some type of pit time. Whether it be, and it looks everything's all in the 40 to 50 second range, so it looks like everyone was getting some type of repairs done. So something happened way back in the back that resulted in a big pileup. I don't want to leave this battle right here to go take a look at that, but something happened way in the back. Maybe you could take a look at that while we're following this battle for the top 5 here with Bensi Hill and as well as Miranda, Seifert, and Johnston.
And I'm actually noticing right now that Schaeffer and Johnston, as Johnston looks to the outside in turn number 1, they've got a lap car already to deal with. That's the 31 of Julian Altena, who, oh, he's wrecked right in front of them. They all managed to avoid him thus far, trying to see if everyone is able to get by cleanly. But I'm actually seeing Lucas Santos, who is down in 14th. He's come on the pit road as well on lap 4. So I'm guessing a lot of incidents must have happened, or one major incident on the first lap as Altena is actually disconnected from the server. But this is something that is not entirely unexpected with Long Beach. As close quarters as this track is, overtaking opportunities are at a premium, but at the same time, you got to be wary of the walls here. They will hurt badly if you get it wrong. And in a lot of cases, a lot of these guys are coming in. They're likely coming in for new front wings. And of course, you want as much downforce as you possibly can on a very tight track like this. But all these guys are likely coming in for a new front wing. They have a refreshed front wing, of course. So they will get that replaced, but it's very much hurt their chances thus far and likely thrown them a bit off strategy.
Look at those brake rotors glow. Tells you how much these guys are under braking for a lot of these turns here. Of course, brakes are very similar and derived from what they use in Formula One, carbon fiber brakes. Often, actually, if you've ever been, if you've flown lately, most of your modern aircraft, your jetliners, besides having awesome Rolls-Royce engines underneath them, tend to have carbon fiber brakes, and that was really one of the things that Formula One picked up, is how airlines used them, and they applied that, and then, of course, it's made its way over to IndyCar racing.
Very true, and of course, another thing where F1 was on the cutting edge of was carbon fiber chassis for their cars, particularly with McLaren in the 1980s with the MP4-1. That was considered to be the first carbon fiber race car. Everything else before that was aluminum, or aluminium, as I'm sure people overseas will say. They'll obviously correct me on that, but hey, I'm American. I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know.
It's aluminum, and it's also a schedule. It's not a schedule.
Yes.
Oh,
yes,
car locking up right in front of the leaders.
Oh, trying to see.
And Bruno Miranda's kind of checked out, and again, this has to do with his start. So I'm kind of just watching these current group of leaders.
Well, what's interesting here is that I remember seeing after he exited the fountain for the first time on the start, Miranda backed off and let the second, third, and fourth place cars catch up to his rear. And it seemed to me like that may well be what the stewards are going to say that is the penalty served. And Miranda looking very quick right now, of course, starting on the soft compound tire. He's going to be very quick in these opening laps. But I can imagine, especially with Nicholas Johnston overtaking Nate Schaeffer up to P2, he's going to have an advantage in tire strength going into the latter parts of the stint, as we actually do have a lap car limping around with a broken wheel on it, trying to limp around the track right more.
That's Kresge. That is Christopher Kresge. So he must have, he just go ahead and drive straight into the runoff area there.
And he's just going to drive it right through there, and he's actually reset and returned the car there. Maybe perhaps having a look and see, maybe take over a steward's role perhaps for the rest of the night, because that car looks like it's not going anywhere fast. But looking at things right now, Miranda has pulled about a 4.1 second lead over Nicholas Johnston, and keeping a look at lap times right now, we may be approaching that crossover period. Miranda on that last lap was a 109.3, so was Nicholas Johnston. So they are very much even at this stage on the different types of tires, and Johnston is liable to only get stronger as the run goes on.
Yeah, if you're just joining us and not very familiar with IndyCar racing, IndyCar uses two compound tire types, a softer and a harder tire. Currently watching your leader right here, it's Bruno Miranda. He has the red sidewall tires, sometimes called the Reds. We call them the Alts, and that is your softer of the two tires. Faster in the short run, but do not last as long. They're not as durable as the black sidewall tires, who will show you Nicholas Johnston here. There it is. He's got the black sidewall tires, often called the Primes. those last longer and can go much further than the black tires, black sidewall tires. And they have less of a fall off than the black sidewall tires. So we are reaching that point where it's that crossover point where that delta for the black tires is crossing into the faster territory, and the red sidewall tire deltas are falling into the slower side of things.
Indeed, even though Bruno Miranda was able to pull a nice lap out there, a half-second pass, he's had to deal with some lap traffic now on this last lap. So working lap number 8, we're going to be starting lap number 9 as Miranda works his way through the hairpin with the Allied car behind him. That is the number 20, and that is the 26th machine.
Derek Smith, yep.
Already a lap down now, 2 laps down. He obviously was one of those drivers that was involved in one of the incidents earlier on in the race, and it should say something. Out of 34 drivers that started off this event, 17 are on the lead lap, only on lap number 9.
And we are only a fourth of the way through this thing, yes.
I think we may be in for a bit of attrition, shall we say.
Push to pass situation. Again, we'll tell you about push to pass if you're not familiar with it in IndyCar racing. Push to pass situation, Bruno Miranda with 10, Nicholas Johnson with 8, Seifert with 8, Caleb Benzie with 9, Christopher Hill and P5 with 10. Push to pass gives you a momentary 20-second burst of horsepower that you can use to attack and defend while you're on the track. And one of the little-known things about push to pass is it will impact your mileage. So if you are cutting it close on fuel, you might want to stay off that button. And we've seen that already I think we actually saw some guys last night in the FIS that came to pit road on dry tanks because of mistiming that push to pass button. And you could definitely get yourself in a bad situation here at Long Beach, because it is a long way around. It's not a very big road course, but it's a long way around if you run out of fuel.
It certainly feels a lot longer than it actually is. The track is only 1.9 miles in length, but it feels a lot longer than that, not just due to the technical twists and turns of it all, but also probably due to the relatively low speeds and the fact that if you do have to limp the car around, you're gonna feel like it's gonna feel like an eternity around here because of the slow speeds in any case. So this track really puts a premium on fuel mileage as well as managing every other aspect of your car. These guys are looking at the fuel strategy right now. It seems liable that we will likely have a one-stopper event here with everybody running under the pretense of not having a safety car, shall I say, trying to get my wording straight.
Gotcha.
Which so far on lap number 10, a lot of the stewards were expecting that if we were to have a safety car come out, it would be on lap 1 for a major pileup, likely in the fountain area, because A, that's usually where it happens, and turn 1 as well, of course. But we didn't have that thus far, and the reason why that may be so, you may be wondering that, well, with everybody having damage here, why didn't they throw a safety car? Well, that's probably because they were all minor contacts from everyone bunching up to each other and maybe knocking their wings off. And that may well throw out a safety car in real-world IndyCar series because, of course, you have that razor-sharp debris to worry about. Not so much in the virtual world.
No.
So you have to, and so these guys would have to limp around, get their wing changed, and get back on their way. And that really, and with the fact that no one really stopped in the process, they just knocked off their wings and kept going on their way, that really didn't require the use of a safety car.
Yeah, but those stops are a bit too early for them to make it on one stop, so those guys are all probably going to have to stop again. Hey, before we get too far into this, let's take a look here back in P6. Alex Van de Sant underneath Christopher Hill for 5th spot. Coming side by side into the last complex of turns, into the hairpin, and it looks like Alex is going to pull that off as he kicks out the backside a little bit. So going to leave the door open for Christopher Hill to get on push to pass and try to get that position back there alongside, coming down the main straight here on Lakeside Boulevard, and then they're going to bile on down into turn 1 and see if Alex is going to try to outbrake him and get that back. No, he's not going to be able to do it as they round turn 1 and come into the fountain area.
And Johan Shirazi behind him. He's debating whether to be the spectator to it all or he wants to stick his nose in there as well. But Van de Sant and Christopher Hill putting on a great show thus far. Hill seems to be a bit, and seems to be struggling a little bit there, but he's managing to hold Van de Sant at bay for the time being. But he is not going to be given up that easily. Van de Sant, of course, finished second last week at Phoenix, and now he looks to the inside for turn number 8.
Oh, we got a collision. That's 3 cars. Oh, and that's what. Oh, and that is game over for Alex. That is what happens when you run so close to people and they get into that wall. It just becomes an accordion effect. Matthew Short is the big winner on that one, and Nagasiya Yoshikawa all of a sudden is now on him. And Johan Shirazi, I believe, is, well, he's still rolling, but he's going to be hitting pit road. Oh, and Matthew Short gets, looks like he gets squirrely under power coming out of the hairpin. That's going to open the door for Shirazi to let him by. I just let him by at this point because I think Shirazi's going to have to pit. Let's get some bills paid here real quick before we get into Shirazi's gonna have to pit. His front tire is askew. That's not tracking right.
Yeah,
let's
right front tire is out of whack, and the front spoiler is damaged.
Yep. Let's go ahead and pay some bills with the side by side. We'll keep the cameras here, and we'll be right back here after a word from Schaeffer's. Not that one. That one.
There's 2 types of drivers out there. Drivers who know how to protect their investment, and drivers who don't. Car owners who know how to get more miles per gallon, and owners who don't. We're talking people who know their Schaeffer, and people who don't. Which one are you? From cars to trucks to diesel workhorses, whatever you drive, there's a Schaeffer synthetic oil for you. Do you know your Schaeffer? Ask for it at an automotive retailer near you.
All right, and as the I5G guys say during Arca Break Weekly, respect to the meatball, and I think the meatball needs to be respected right here for 007, as he is under. Now, obviously, you can see he is missing a wing, and that front tire is not tracking right.
Indeed, and looking at the lap time board there, the way you can tell he has a meatball flag, well, not only visually because the car is not looking too pretty at the moment, but also because his lap times over the last couple laps have not been registered. He has to come in or else he'll be disqualified in a few laps time. But after the whole incident with Christopher Hill, Shirazi, and Alex Van de Sant, the big winner in all of that is Nagisa Yoshikawa. He started 12th, now in the top 5 for the Japanese driver in the number 98 machine. A fantastic run so far for him tonight.
Here comes Shirazi.
Finally comes in.
Yeah, we're riding alongside Shirazi, riding along on his roll bar here, and yeah, he is his steering is a bit skewed, so he's not tracking right. He's got some damage. Going to have to get that taken care of. Going to be probably an extended stop, but well, it will be an extended stop, but not terribly long as some of the other people might have seen on pit road. If he comes to stop here, going to get a new set of tires and fill up that tank. That might be able to get him to the end. It's probably still a bit early. Nope, he's down the way. They got the new wing on and everything, and he's ready to go. So he might not be tracking right still, but he is definitely under power with a new set of front wings and a new set of tires.
Yeah, very true. And I'm going to be wondering how well that car is going to be handling anyway with the bit of suspension damage that he had there. They may have been to affect some degree of repairs, and of course they changed the front wing, which is the most obvious thing to change anyway. It adds an extra 5 seconds to your pit stop, so it may not be desirable, but it is something that the iRacing IndyCar pit crew can do very, very quickly.
Man, he was only in the box for 8.4 seconds. So, I mean, that in itself is not a very long stop.
That would suggest to me that he only came in for the repairs. So I don't think he filled up on fuel. He took fresh tires for sure, but that's an interesting call there, because it would suggest to me that he foregone fuel and he's going to be filling it up later, and he's going to be trying to get as much laps as he possibly can. He's falling down the order right now. The timing and scoring sheets are correcting itself on my screen, of course. But looking at it right now, he was, of course, battling for a top 5 position earlier on. but now he is down in 12th place. Still on the lead lap, though, about 1 minute and 2 seconds behind the leader, Bruno Miranda, who has still not quite fallen off the pace compared to Nicholas Johnston. He's running laps in the high 109s. Same with Johnston as well. The gap hasn't really closed all that much on the best of times, and the gap is actually extended to 6.5 seconds. Miranda showing tremendous pace, even on older red tires.
Yeah, sure is, and he's about halfway through a run. He is currently coming up to put a lap on James Watson, who is currently in 19th, showing 1 lap down. 13 cars on the lead lap. Michael Haller is the last car on the lead lap. He is currently about 1 minute behind this battle right now, so not quite a full lap, but most there you see probably Haller there in the far distance. But right before after him then will be Shirazi, who made it out of the pits before getting lapped. Santos, Weisbrod, Isidro, and Spath, and by that point we're into the top 10. Your top 10 right now, while we're talking about it: Miranda, Johnston, Seifert, Vinci, Yoshikawa, Short, DeMade, Spath, Isidro, and World War III. Checking out chat, we got some folks checking in here. Alex, says love that. Feel bad for Johan. I can imagine. He was just kind of there and drove right on into it. And just unfortunate for you, too. I mean, you were just so close to the guy in front of you that when they smacked that wall, you just don't have any time to react, and then your car ended up on its lid, and then, well, what you can do at that point, you're done. So, we feel bad for your finish as well, and I'm sure Chris also feels pretty horrible about it as well. Actually, we still show him on the track, as a matter of fact. There he is back there in P14. So he is repaired and back underway.
Speaking of Johan Shirazi, he's actually all over the rear of Lucas Santos for 11th place. So he may be down, but he's certainly not out. He could still get a solid result here.
Ooh.
When he comes in, is Santos may have overcooked it a little bit going into the hairpin there. This is going to be a good chance for Shirazi getting back on the power. He's on fresh reds. He's on much faster tires right now.
Much faster tire. Those tires that Santos are on are spent.
Oh,
crossover.
News.
Oh, he's into the back of him. And he loses the wing again.
Unbelievable. Lucas Santos.
Oh, wait a minute. The wing pops back on like a transformer.
Wow. So Shirazi makes contact there with Santos, and we have massive, massive news. The stewards have shown the black flag to Bruno Miranda for that restart.
Wow.
They have black flags.
Wow.
The leader of the race.
So that now the problem there that I have is, yes, it deserves a black flag, but 19 laps into a run, black flag.
Very delayed reaction.
Yeah, very, very delayed reaction. If that was given within the first 5 laps or so, I'd probably feel a lot less bad for Miranda. But he probably could have any time in that 19 laps, he could have pitted, given those spots back, and then come back out or anything. And he's built up a 5-second lead to get black flagged here. So I'm sure he's not going to be happy. Here he's making that turn down pit road. We'll try to get the camera on him coming down pit lane. Not a very good angle there. Not a very good angle there. Not a good angle all the way around for this pit road here. Here he comes. So I don't know if it's going to be a 40-second hold or what.
We'll see as he trundles down at 40 miles an hour, and on a track that already seems like an eternity. It's going to be a pass-through penalty.
Yeah, pass-through.
Drive-through penalty.
Yeah. So they will... And that really doesn't cost them. It only costs them 5 spots, maybe 6 spots, depending on where 6th place catches them. I mean, he still has a pit, and I'm surprised he didn't pit there.
Yeah, that would be an opportune moment to make your stop. We're halfway through this race where you could obviously make it to the checkered flag on fuel there. That may be a specific thing that you can't take service while you're going through on a pass-through penalty. That, if so, that's a pretty good thing to have. You actually want the penalty to be worth something. I know that was a thing in the kart days way back when, where you could get service on a penalty stop anyway. I believe Nigel Mansell was involved in something like that way back. It was either Mansell or one of the Andretti's. I need to look back into the history books on that, but there is a there is a history of people taking advantage of a penalty to come in and take service when otherwise they wouldn't. And that's a good way to make sure the penalty actually means something. But for Bruno Miranda, he's actually come back in once more. And I don't think they've cleared the black flag on him.
Making him do 2 drive-throughs.
I think what's happened here is Miranda came in for the black flag immediately, but he didn't stop. I don't think that was what he was supposed to do. And now he's coming into his box.
And yeah, he's going to go get service 4 sets, or a new set of 4 Firestones, going to opt for the prime tires. He is down and away, coming on pit out here.
Okay, so he actually was scored on that last lap. That was my mistake.
Okay, so
so that will be his regular service.
Okay, that should get him to the end, hopefully. And let's get.
Oh! And Miranda messes up his pit exit there. He almost hits the tire barrier there. Keeps it going. Oh, it's showing a front wing damage. It's showing front wing damage.
And that's just insult to injury now.
Oh, that is cruel by the racing gods. That is just cruel. But Bruno Miranda, a dominant night there already. It started off controversial to begin with, but very little has made it much better after he put in such a great run. And again, I gotta call into question the response time for that penalty. If people like Schaeffer and Bensi were already complaining over the radio, I have to call into question why it took so long for the stewards to react to it. Because obviously, because I will agree with you, there should have been a penalty early on there, but it was not gonna. But waiting this long for it, it seems rather questionable.
Yep, seeing in chat here, Alex says, need to listen to race control. Drive-through penalty and Miranda was for the jump start. Yes, got that. And I think he could have stopped, actually, because I've been issued a penalty before, and I went ahead and just stopped. And I mean, you get the service done, and the penalty doesn't count down on you until your service is done. So you just you charge yourself an additional 5 to 8 seconds for that service to get done, and then it will start tacking on those. But he might have was just thinking that he was just a drive-through, and then he needed to come in for service anyway, so he decided to do it one lap after another to help minimize damage. Either way, damage is done in more ways than one. Missing the right front wing right here as he's coming into the final complex of corners, coming into the hairpin right now. See if he ducks back on the pit road to get that wing taken care of, or he's just going to ride it out. I don't think that's a meatball offense right there by missing a wing, so he might be able to finish this thing out as a one-wing angel.
Yeah, his laps are still being registered there. He just ran a 109.6 on that last lap, actually. So he is not being meatball flagged for that missing front wing. So he will be able to keep going, and he seems to be running at a pretty respectable pace right now. Still lapping the 109s, about the same as our race leader.
Yeah, like race leader is only 2 cars behind him. As you see, we got a Caleb Bensi, I think, is in pit road. Yes, there he is. He's taking him to pit road for his stop. I think Michael Holler just jumped on pit road for his stop. There he is, up on the jacks, down and away, has the prime tires on, and Caleb Bensi is done for the day on pit road, hopefully. And he is down away on lap 24.
Bensi off the button, gets it going. Very tricky pit exit here. He's got another car coming up behind him there. That's trying to see who that is, but Bensi down and away. Good solid stop for him. But Nate Schaeffer's coming on the pit road there.
Yeah, we're watching him right here. Yeah.
Hairpin there.
Yeah, probably some really, really used tires.
24-lap-old Reds tend to not drive the way you want them to. It'd be good to get them off my wagon as soon as possible. Again, 40 miles an hour seems absolutely glacial when the guys going by on the front stretch are topping out at about 180 miles an hour before going onto the brakes for turn 1. But Schaeffer down and away, fresh black tires, and he will be good to go to the end. And Nicholas Johnston, he stayed out the longest of the leaders thus far. He's put in a very quiet but effective performance, has Nicholas Johnston. He was running in a solid second place there. Of course, he started on the black tires. That means coming in, he is going to be on lightning fast red tires. I can see him making this lead even all the better as he now comes
Pit
in.
road.
In the last 25.
Pit road. And it should be pointed out that Johnston, in his first start in the FIS Formula Indy Series last season, which was his first race, first start was here at Long Beach when the series visited here, won that race. So in my time watching Nicholas Johnston in a race here at Long Beach, he is undefeated. And he is on his way possibly to another victory right now. Let's not give him the jinx. He's onto those red tires like you said he was going to be. He's going to be light fuel, red tires. He's probably looking to set some big monster laps.
Well, at least if he doesn't do that, he knows a perfect scapegoat, and he's right here in the booth with me. Sorry, Gary.
Lead now is turned over to Yoshikawa, by the way.
Nagisa Yoshikawa started 12th, has picked off spots through just taking it very careful on his equipment and putting in decent laps too.
Nothing wrong with that strategy.
Johnson, he started on the blacks there and ran a little bit wide there.
Nothing wrong. Yeah, nothing wrong with that strategy, man. I really like the strategy of keeping yourself and your car and safe at all times. That's pretty conservative. Some people don't like that, but it minimizes risks and it brings home the points.
Yep, and I'm one of those guys too. I guess you could say sort of shades of Alain Prost, because he was always a guy in Formula One as Yoshikawa comes on the pit road.
Right?
But this is always the consistent strategy, and it wins. It can win championships, especially where a 5th place finish is more desirable than wrecking it out while going for a podium. And Yoshikawa has been able to manipulate that to his advantage right now as he finally comes to stop in his box there. He's going to be switching on to the red tires. Like Johnston, he's going to have a very fast car underneath him. But likewise, he's also going to want to avoid the wall here, and this is a track that will reward the Alain Prosts of the world, the guys that will just want to keep the car underneath them and just get it to the finish there. Of course, some people have a hard time resisting the temptation when it is there, even just to get that little extra more out of the car, and then that little extra turns out to be a bridge too far.
Here's Nicholas getting a run around the boss man, Matt Houston there, coming into turn 8. Lets him on by, back under power. Right now, your top 5, Johnston, Seifert, Bensi, Shirazi. Johan Shirazi has now worked his way up to P4. Now, the last car who has not pitted is this guy right here, Will Riceford the third, World War III. He is not pitted at all today. He's currently 27 laps into his stint, so obviously 27 laps into this race, and he is not pitted. He is on the same set of tires, of course, and we don't know when he's going to pit. Maybe here anytime, but he's moved himself up to 5th spot, started 27th.
Very, very nice performance.
And here he comes on the pit road, I
now
think.
He comes
yeah,
in.
There it is.
We say it.
That's going to allow Nagasiya Yoshikawa on by. Yoshikawa now moves into the 4th spot. Bruno Miranda is still on the racetrack with the one wing. He now moves into the 6th spot.
It doesn't seem like that front wing has hurt Bruno Miranda all that much. He's still lapping in the low 1-minute 10s, which is still a respectable lap time. It wasn't quite the pace he had earlier, but of course he is running the hard compound tire. They are starting off slower, and it seemed like the red tire was the one that people wanted to run here. It seemed to maintain its pace pretty well throughout the stint. So these guys wanted to either maximize the performance out of the blacks early on, the likes of Nicholas Johnston and Nagisa Yoshikawa, whereas everyone else was trying to go as long as they could on the reds, because the crossover we expected didn't entirely happen the way we've seen at other tracks before.
Yeah, he's going to have faster straightaway speeds. That's less drag there. It's going to allow more air under the car a little bit, though, and it's not going to have for maximum airflow, so it might actually be some drag that we're not actually accounting for there.
And even so, I'd imagine it'd be a small consolation anyway.
Yeah, and for that, there's not a very many high-speed corners here at this particular track. Most of them are pretty slow speed. So it's just really going to be up to how the tires are going to wear and stick to the asphalt here in this. Well, there's all sorts of different compounds of asphalt around this course. You're going to have new asphalt, old asphalt, smooth asphalt, bumpy asphalt, asphalt that has embedded bus oils and stuff in them, and there's patches right there that you can see, and then there's patches of concrete they're going to hit. So it's no telling what really those condition of those tires are in.
If anything, it goes to show just how bumpy streets really are when you really get down to it. Yeah, of course, you're a lot used to driving these roads in your street car. That is, you don't really feel very many bumps unless, of course, you hit a pothole, which, me being from Pennsylvania, I've gotten quite used to that. But when you go over these in a race car, even the slightest thing that you wouldn't even notice in a street car, it feels like you've hit a pothole on a back road here in the woods in PA. I don't hate to throw shade at the guys throwing and trying to make the road works there. I mean, sure, the guys out there are doing their level best, but it's the guys in charge that I want to throw the shade at here. They're not doing particularly great here, but Long Beach is a pretty well-maintained place, of course. They do a rather good job keeping the track and keeping the streets around the track safe for everyone driving on it, but you still really, really feel the bumps here on really any street circuit, whether it be Long Beach, it be Detroit, it be Toronto. You really feel it anywhere you go. St. Petersburg as well, I want to add that on there, especially since, like Sebring, you also have a bit of an airport that you run through, and the concrete on that is also pretty bumpy. So it just goes to show the bumps you kind of run over on your day-to-day life, you really feel them when you're driving a race car at 180 miles an hour around them.
And come on, iRacing, you need to deliver on St. Pete and Toronto for the IndyCar series. Not going to be tracks I'm going to run at. Not tracks I'm going to run at an awful lot, but let's be fair. Let's be fair to IndyCar here. I'm sure if NASCAR was running there, they'd be already made. Yes, I fired shots. I fired shots. Right now, watching Nate Seifert on the track here as Gary's throwing shade to NASCAR.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, they are getting the brand new exhibition race at the Los Angeles Coliseum, not too far away from Long Beach, of course. And they pretty much gotten that right from the word go. Hey, they've got it. iRacing's going to have it in.
Yeah, that's not going to be one track I'm going to buy. Not unless we have to do a broadcast or something from it. That's going to be one.
Probably do it just for funsies.
I might pass on that one.
I mean, me who likes to mess around with his teammates when we're not taking things serious in a race, I think that'd be something fun to pick up. But speaking of getting things a bit serious, the battle seems to be joined for position number 4. Nagisa Yoshikawa has really closed the gap on Johan Shirazi. About a second a lap difference was the previous time by. Now it's about 5/10. But Yoshikawa on those fresh reds versus a potentially damaged car of Johan Shirazi. This is going to be an interesting battle here. Yeah,
Shirazi's 17 laps into his stint. Yoshikawa's only 5 laps into his stint. So those reds, those alternate tires on that number 007 is pretty well spent at this point. He's just trying to, I think he still needs to make another stop. So I think he's just trying to get to his last fuel stop to top it off and make it to the distance. He might be able to make it, and that might be another reason why you're seeing the times kind of drop off, is he's kind of
it's very possible.
Maybe clutching and braking a little bit, or rolling off the power a little bit earlier than normal.
Yeah, a bit of lift and coast perhaps for Johan Shirazi. The time he came in was, it looked to me like it could well be a time where it may possibly work. He came in on lap number 15 here, And given how long some people were able to get it going, I mean, Will Weisbrot III was able to go all the way to lap 26 here. It could be that a little bit of lift and coast is going to help Shirazi here long term. Of course, he's not going to have the pace that Yoshikawa has behind him, but it's still going to be enough to hold on to a solid result, even after he got a meatball flag after getting caught up in that massive crash in turn number 8 with Van de Sant and
Christopher Hill.
And Christopher Hill.
Well, we are riding along board Yoshikawa. He's there. He is there right now.
He certainly is. Lap times seem to be evened out a little bit over that last lap or so. Maybe a bit of aero wash and maybe a bit of maybe minor errors there by Yoshikawa. Of course, Yoshikawa's definitely one of those guys. Seems to me like he'll just want to keep his equipment safe underneath him. He's got a solid top 5 already, but of course he'd love to get P4. But I think he'd be inclined to just keep the car underneath him. And, Shirazi.
Oh, and Yoshikawa smells blood in the water. He is on push to pass.
Shirazi lit up those rear tires there, sent it sideways there. Yoshikawa can sense that his car is not handling too great. But of course, the question here, more so than a lot of other tracks, I can say this is, catching the guy is one thing, but of course, he's got to pass him.
Nick Sudik, IndyCar Grand Prix at Cleveland. Yes, we need the Cleveland Burke Lakefront Airport too. It's not enough that it's on. It's not enough that it's on AMS. It needs to be on iRacing.
I would love dearly, not just to see the Burke Lakefront Airport in iRacing, but to see it back in real life. Come on, IndyCar, let's go back to Cleveland.
It was going to be on the Indy Racing League schedule at one point, and this is, I think, maybe pre-merger or right at the time. Maybe they all came together again, but they were supposed to go there, and it got canceled. But that is a very challenging course because it is a flat course, and there's virtually no markers out there whatsoever. You kind of almost have to memorize it. And that's one of my challenges that I have there. But it's on AMS if anyone wants to download and buy that game and then buy one. I think it's on their latest USA DLC that they recently brought out. But they brought it out with the 98, I think, kart cars, so you could ride with a Renard, a Swift, or a Lola if you want. And it's pretty cool.
That's one way to relive the classic times at Old Cleveland. And, of course, I'd love to say, as Yoshikawa nearly has a brush with the wall there under braking for turn number 6, trying to harry Johan Shirazi. He's been doing so good to keep that car underneath him this whole time, running in the top 5 right now. But of course, this track has clearly defined limits. You got to be very careful with them.
We got another battle brewing on the racetrack. Going back 2 spots, Christopher Hill now all over Bruno Miranda. This is for 6th place right now.
Hill was about half a second faster than Miranda on that last lap. He's on reds, whereas Miranda is on blacks. And, of course, Miranda's got that front wing to worry about there. Hill is very much going to be picking his battles as well as he possibly can. We're on 5 laps to go here. Time is running out, though. Hill is all over the back of him again.
He's going to break deep. And he spins.
Hill loses it, gathers it up, though, keeps it going there. No damage done, but that is going to be a dagger to the heart for that chance at a battle for P6.
Yeah, he has a big lead over P8, and that's probably a lucky thing for him. But unless something happens to Miranda, I don't think he's going to have enough time to run him down. Take a look at the top 5 at the moment, though. It's Johnson with a 9-second lead over Nate Seifert. Let's get all those actual gap times in here. Again, Caleb Bensi is right behind. He's also on push to pass there in P3. Johan Shirazi, 19 seconds back. Yoshikawa, about 3/10 back there from Shirazi. Let's go get the camera back on that battle there. It's getting, it's about the same distance.
Yoshikawa still holding station behind him. Not something I'm sure he's too keen on. With a few laps to go here, Yoshikawa's got fresher tires, of course, than Johan Shirazi, who came in a lot earlier to serve that meatball flag. He stretched out that the damage he had on his car for as long as he possibly could. And overall, the strategy has worked brilliantly for Johan Shirazi, whether he gets passed by Yoshikawa or not. This is a valiant effort by a car that we thought early on was going to be done and dusted.
Shadow Fox, good point. Good save there by Hill. Kept it out of the tires, kept it pointed straight. All he had to do is light him up and point his car in the right direction. So, yeah, totally agree. Good save there by Christopher Hill there going into turn 1.
Indeed, very fortunate save there. Didn't hit the wall there and just lit up the rear, spun him around, and kept going back on his way. And hopefully for him, he's able to hold on to that position, not try to overcook it, trying to get back up from Miranda. I'm sure he's despondent about it, but it's still a very good effort overall, especially since, once again, Christopher Hill, alongside Shirazi, he was one of those guys caught up in that 3-car pileup on the back straightaway.
Yep, and that's actually of those 3 cars, both are going to finish, 2 are going to finish in the top 10, and Alex Van de Sant's the one that ended up on his lid. He's the one that came out as a big loser there. Right now, Alex showing scored in 23, day done, P23. Currently, right now, 20 cars are on the lead lap. 20 cars are on the track. 10 cars are on the lead lap. Will Weisberg III is currently the last car on the lead lap. He's the one that went longest on that run. Pretty much everyone from 21 on back. So that's 21 through 34. They are out of this race. So a good third of the field is donezo.
Unfortunately, it is the nature of the beast here. That is the Long Beach Street Circuit. It is easily one of the most unforgiving circuits on the iRacing service. It may be the polar opposite to a track like the Nürburgring in Germany, but it punishes just as hard, if not harder.
Here comes Yoshikawa. He's going to take a look at the outside, going to the 1. No, not going to pull it off.
Not quite there. Yoshikawa and Shirazi defending very, very well. He's realized, obviously, that turn 1 is going to be Yoshikawa's best chance.
Oh, Yoshikawa into the wall.
He's actually pushed the wall.
And that might be it for this battle.
Well, Yoshikawa doesn't seem like he's given up quite yet, though. He's still within earshot of Shirazi there. But the question is, how much of a hit was that? I could hear it and I could feel it there. But of course, the netcode game is a pretty strange one at times there, and it doesn't seem like it's hurt Yoshikawa too terribly. He's still within sight of that 007 machine.
Oh, and he did. Look at there, turn 8, just dives right on in. He's right there. He hit that wall pretty square, so I don't know if there's a lot of damage on him, and he is right there. He is coming to. We got a white flag lap, and we got a big battle here, but we're going to want to watch our leader here, Nicholas Johnson, is taking the white flag. He is currently coming through the back portion of the track here.
Yoshikawa. Shirazi defending hard down into turn number 1. Yoshikawa once again looks to the outside. Not quite there. He's hard up on the curb there, trying to get as much of a cutback as possible. That may be a bit too much. But there's a big pile up here. That's Caleb Bensey. No, it's not Caleb Bensey. That was one of the race first cars.
No, that's Matt Houston.
Matt Houston. That's Matt Houston around. He was down in 14th, but both Shirazi and Yoshikawa's actually gotten by him. Shirazi cannot believe it, and Yoshikawa's got a damaged car.
Yeah, he needs to nurse this thing home. We're going to hop on Nicholas Johnson here coming out of the hairpin, and the man is undefeated at Long Beach while I broadcast his races. He probably wants me in the booth now for all of them. Nicholas Johnson, your winner here at a very controversial Long Beach race. Let's get back up to watch these leaders here. Here goes Caleb Bensey. He's across. He is finishing on the podium here. Yoshikawa damaged. Let's see if he can make it. He has Shirazi right on his 6. I don't think Shirazi's going to be able to pull this one off. And it's going to be Yoshikawa with a excellent top 5. Shirazi, he got passed by Bruno Miranda. He might be out of fuel.
Is he out of fuel? He is out of fuel. The motor's dead. He is just coasting to the line here. Bruno Miranda, with a broken front wing, finishes top 5.
And we got Nicholas Isidro is going to give him a push.
Isidro. That is
That is
As
very.
they say in the last scene in the movie Cars. He's just giving him a little bump
Yeah,
draft there.
that's very Johnny Rutherford of him right there. Hey, that's a nice thing from Nicholas Isidro. You don't get the
Very
reference.
gentlemanly of him.
You don't get the reference. Johnny Rutherford, after he won the 1980 Indy 500, ended up picking up a Tim Richmond, who ran out of fuel on the backstretch, I believe. Told Tim Richmond, of course, this is the future Winston Cup star, Tim Richmond, the guy that they probably did Days of Thunder after, Tim Richmond, and put him on the side pod of his car and literally drove with Johnny Rutherford to Victory Lane. And that's kind of one of his few claim to fames. Tim Richmond in IndyCar racing is being the Rookie of the Year in the 1980 Indy 500 and riding the Victory Lane on the side of Johnny Rutherford's car. So very, very Johnny Rutherford-like of Nicholas Isidro to help Shirazi get across the start-finish line there. Oh, now that does it. That is just an excellent, an exciting race. I want to say excellent because I know sure people are going to be talking about this one probably for a while. Let's get the final standings here up on the board and see if we can't maybe talk to some of these participants that were on the podium. But bringing up the, if they will finally load here. Yep, Nicholas Johnston is your winner. Finished ahead of his rival from last night, Nate Seifert. So we might actually be able to talk about that one from the FIS series. Seifert actually finished P2. He finished on the podium last night in the FIS series. So a good couple days for him. Caleb Bensi, big recovery from how his FIS race went. We won't even talk about, well, we might talk about that. He might not want to talk about that. He finishes on the podium. Yoshikawa, we've talked about his drive today. Great drive on his part. Finished 8 spots up where he started P4. Bruno Miranda, well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about this one for a while. Started on the pole, got the jump on everybody, and it took a half a race for the black flag to finally be issued and that penalty to be served. Christopher Hill had himself an adventurous day, getting caught up in a 3-car incident that resulted really in slight damage to himself and Yoshikawa, but terminal damage to Alex Van de Sant. He finishes in 6th. Matthew Short, great recovery after not making qualifications at Phoenix last week in P7. Johan Shirazi, well, we saw the adventures of his day, finishes P8. Dakota DeMaid, we didn't really talk about him, show him at all hardly on this thing. Very quiet. P9 for the defending champion. That's how championships are won. Will Ricebread III finished 10th. Nicholas Isidro, you saw our helper there at the end, P11. Brody Gardner, P12. Nicholas Santos, P13. James Watson, P14. And Sean Ryan in the 15th spot. Moving on, Matt Houston with that incident right there after the fountain, the boss man. I'm sure he's not going to be happy about that. Michael Holler, 17th. Logan Spath, and 18th. Joshua Tucker, 19th. And J.J. Wang, 20th. I believe that's the last of the cars running on the track. Everyone else is showing out. Shane Coogan, 21st. Matt Cosgrove, 22nd. Alex Van de Sant, in the aforementioned incident that he had, finishing 23rd. Derek Smith, 24th. Christopher Kresge, 25th. Maxon Oberauer, 26th. Joey Reynolds, in 28th. Peter Donchak, 29th. Julian Altena, we saw his incident, E29. Lewis Woodall had a great week last week. Not so much great week this week, finishing in the 30th spot. Moving on to the next page. Rhett Nichols in 32nd. Nicholas Heinekamp in 31st. Nicholas Shepard in 33rd. And Neil Lusher in 34th. That rounds out your huge, huge field here at Long Beach. So let's take a look inside. We got to pay some bills too, so let's go ahead and let's do a side-by-side, which we should have, but it was really an exciting race. And let's do and then we'll hop into the interview room and get some interviews along with our podium guys. So stand by and we'll be right back.
There's 2 types of drivers out there: drivers who know how to protect their investment and drivers who don't. Car owners who know how to get more miles per gallon and owners who don't. We're talking people who know their Schaeffer and people who don't. Which one are you? From cars to trucks to diesel workhorses, whatever you drive, there's a Schaeffer synthetic oil for you. Do you know your Schaeffer? Ask for it at an automotive retailer near you.
All right, we are out of break here. Thanks to guys for Schaeffer's. Make sure you check them out. We appreciate their patience for. Well, we had a heck of a race. Joining us in the booth is third place finisher Caleb Bency. All right, so we talked about it in the break. Before we talk about this race, just what happened in the FIS?
Yeah, so just a technical issue. I had a long time, like probably a year or so ago, upshift issue. Like paddle was so I don't know, had a little workaround, and it's been perfectly fine since. So I don't know if I just didn't click all the way or that was an issue because I was spamming it and it didn't engage until later, and unfortunately by that point I was already hit.
Well,
so yeah, that was unfortunate. But
well,
moving on.
Well, and that just I'm sure that probably makes all tonight all the better. Finishing on the podium. Great points day for you, Gavin. I think Gavin. The reason why he didn't make today's race is he is nursing a dead wheel as well.
Yes.
So you're going to make some major hay over him in the points championship. Let's go ahead and bring up the points. And RIL normally updates them pretty quickly, but yeah, you made up every ground except on Nate, who finished just ahead of you. But still, I don't think Nate's going to make up enough ground really to maybe he's just going to go up to second. He's not going to beat you any. So you still got the first spot. First of all, we got a lot to talk about besides being the points leader, and then next week, of course, we're going to where all hell can bust loose at the iRacing Superspeedway. Let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the start of this race. Go ahead, give us your take. You were one of the. I understand you were one of the vocal ones on the radio. What was going on?
Yeah, so apparently we had to wait till the start line or the start finish line, which, to be completely honest, I don't really know why we were doing that, because I think it's better to just let people go when they want. Spreads the field out a little more. It's not as congested and wrecking all through turn 1, 2, fountain, all that. So I don't really know why we were doing that, but Bruno, I think it was in front of me, he took off right on green, and I kind of hesitated. I didn't really know what to do because he took off. So eventually I just decided to take off too, and then realized after that it would probably just be the safe bet to let Nate back by, because they did wait the whole time to go. So, I mean, then from there, just try to settle in. But yeah, I don't really understand what the need for that kind of start was. But yeah, overall, it was just kind of a mess there with him, Bruno taking off so early, but made it work, I guess.
Steven?
Well, I believe the reasoning behind the start for the race apparently was to get more people closer together to actually to allow people for a better chance in the race. But certainly that will be I'll say a controversial topic to be to be generous there.
Because I think it's better if there's less people stacked on top of each other. But
yeah. So, but moving beyond the race there, when the black flag was finally thrown for Miranda, what was your take on the whole situation? And generally you ran a pretty solid, if quiet, race to the podium there, but that extra time to issue the penalty to Miranda, would you say that was something that that you were surprised by? Were you surprised by that?
Not really. I mean, it was just way early, the jump and everything, and obviously didn't make any effort to kind of give that back at all.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, that wasn't too surprising. But after that, just try to settle in, and I felt the Reds still had some pace in them later, but I mean, the front felt numb, the rear felt numb, like the whole thing just felt like it was ready to come around any second. So trying to still get lap time out of that with how terrible it felt was very, very tough. And then the blacks, you were able to push a little harder and got close to Nate. I got it within 1 second there in the last couple laps, but just couldn't quite get close enough to make a run out of that final corner. But overall, it was just a very, very tough, hard to control car. So made it fun, made it challenging, but overall, just glad to bring it home P3 and not in the wall.
Absolutely.
So next week, you are the points leader. This could be one of those races next week that we might all regret is on the schedule. What are your thoughts on next week at the iRacing Superspeedway?
I'll be honest, I have never turned a lap there, and truly, I don't think I ever want to. But yeah, I don't really know what the strategy is for that. I don't really know how strong the draft is, how easy it is to make moves and stuff. So I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna be waiting in the back and just ride it out, or try to just hang to the front. I don't really know yet, to be honest. So either way, you're probably in danger. So I don't really know what's the best way to approach it, but we'll see. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a wild card.
Admitting to the damned if you do and damned if you don't.
Yeah.
Shout outs. Anyone want to say hi to before we let you go?
Yeah, obviously, thanks to you guys for, as always, putting on a great broadcast. No, Matt wasn't here, but I bet you guys held down the fort well and put on a great broadcast for all the family and friends I know are watching. So yeah, exactly. Obviously, Fun and Fanny as well. I know I mentioned it, Indy, but seriously, if no one's checked it out yet, 20 team race first on the website for all your custom body care, all that, men and women's. You get 20% off your order if you use 20 team race first. So definitely check that out. And as always, thanks to family and friends who are watching. I know there's quite a few. So glad to get a good result after a pretty tough week. So.
Yeah, I'll say so. All right, well, congratulations on P3, and I'm sure we'll talk later here in the week. So congrats, and we'll check you later.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
All right, and then move back to there, and let's go ahead and bring up P2, Nate Seifert.
Yeah, I'll take.
There he is. Hey, Nate. Try to give you a little bit more warning maybe next time bringing you up. I wasn't sure what you were saying. 2 days, 2 podiums. There you go. Not too bad here on Race First. Your take on the start, and then after that, kind of how did the rest of the race shake out for you?
Yeah, that's the one word answer to that. The actual version probably wouldn't be YouTube appropriate for what I was thinking about that start. It was, I don't know what that start was. I mean, we had instructions to start where we started at, and then we didn't start at all where we actually started at. So, yeah, he bolted, and by instinct, I kind of went too, and then I realized I can't go, so I let off. Caleb then went by, and I just kind of stayed at the speed I ended up actually once I realized until the finish line, and then I went. And then Caleb let me by, so I was cool with Caleb. But yeah, that penalty was justified. I'm glad the penalty got handed down, because that kind of it threw a kink in my race, especially with how that went. I think we had a strong chance to challenge him. I was saving the tires, waiting for a penalty to come. It came a little too late. Nick got by me because I was conserving the tire a little too much, and that's kind of how that went.
All right. Good points day for you. You finished ahead of everybody that you needed to finish ahead against, other than, actually everybody for that matter, other than Nicholas. But you probably are going to move into P2 here into the championship. Thoughts on that? And then the big danger race coming up here at iRacing Super Speedway next.
Yeah, moving up to P2 is great. Getting some points over Caleb. Gavin not being here, that is positive gain, stacking pennies, I guess. The dirt race in terms to that. But yeah, next week, yeah, honestly, anything can happen there. Kind of just got to go into it thinking of like that Daytona fixed races where you stay relaxed until the last, 10% of the race. So it'll be interesting to see how in a league format that race goes. I've never been in a league super speedway race in these cars, so that will be something new off the checkmark list. But yeah, hopefully everybody's got their heads on their shoulders. Everyone knows it's a super speedway race, and knows that there's people that are fighting for championships here.
Steven?
Well, yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting dichotomy going from Long Beach to iRacing Super Speedway, but it seems like it's going to be nothing short, and it seems like it's not going to be lacking in the chaos department in many regards if you're not careful. But going into this, race here, kind of the elephant in the room with this whole situation with Bruno Miranda, unfortunately, that would you say that would the situation have been handled differently? If you think, do you think it could have been handled differently?
I mean, the only other thing I think that could have been handled differently is if he let me by when he, after a couple laps. I think that's like the only other way that could have been done. How the admins handled it, maybe a little earlier is when they could have done it, but I mean the end result would have been the same for him. So, yeah. I mean, really, that's like the one thing. Do what Caleb did. What Caleb did was, what he really should have done. Yeah, that's like the one thing I think that could have changed from that.
And also, one thing I would wonder is, if the series were to try that start procedure again, do you think it would, and do you think it could work a second time?
As long as everyone's paid attention to the rules. I mean, I think that was. I don't know if he just wasn't, if he didn't read the notes or if he didn't listen to the pre-race meeting. So I don't know. I mean, it could easily happen again. I think it was a decent idea, but it just wasn't executed well. At least because the one guy that that needed to know that rule ended up not knowing that rule. So yeah, I think, is it possible? Yes. Do I see a race on the calendar where we have to do that the rest of the season? No. So I don't see that popping up the rest of the season. But I think overall, maybe just an acknowledgement from everybody that knows that's what's going to happen, I guess, maybe.
And you mentioned that. I went ahead and put the schedule for the remainder of the season up on the screen. Shout out to anyone you want to say hi to. I mean, it's 2 days in a row we got you on the broadcast, so maybe you miss anyone from yesterday?
Oh, basically copy C, Control C, Control V. So yeah, thank you to Shane and Midwest Kidney Warriors for coming on board for this as well. Another on board for the Midwest Kidney Warriors Formula Indy Series, but they come on board for this as well and all my other leagues. So appreciate them for supporting me and everything that I do here on iRacing. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Stephen, for being in the booth. It was really nice to, like I said last night, be able to watch these races back and be able to see what happened throughout the field. Interesting to see what you guys' take on all the proceedings are. Thank you to Christopher, everybody, Dakota, everybody who's an admin here. Greatly run league. That's the thing about these two leagues I run on here on Tuesdays and Wednesdays is, as a league owner myself and runner admin, I understand how difficult it is, and these two groups do a great job on running the show for this. And then, like I said last night, thank you for everybody and your thoughts, Gary, as well, for my grandfather's passing. But yeah, thank you to everybody that came out tonight and watched us.
No problem at all. Well, we had a podium last night, a podium tonight. Good week for you so far, and we'll see you here next week at the iRacing Super Speedway.
Computer, new car, 2 podiums in a row. Can't complain too much. All right,
now we're just bragging. All right, enough of you. Enough of you. Bye.
Bye, Nate.
All right, let's bring up Nicholas Johnson. Hey, Nick. Congrats on the win. Interesting story. I'll tell you a real life conversation I had with an IndyCar driver. I was on hand when Buddy Lazier won at Indianapolis, the 500, and then I was on hand when he won his second IndyCar race at Charlotte. And I met him at a autograph party, and I said something along the lines like, "Hey, the races that I've been at with you there racing, you're undefeated." And he's like, "What are you doing next week?" So far, my races that I broadcast with you in it at Long Beach, you are undefeated. First of all, I always have room on payroll if you'd like to continue, maybe start throwing me some funds, and I will be here for every race for you. But with that said, jokingly aside, almost identical to your FIS race that you had here, except you didn't start on the pole, but you were up front. Of course, there was that start, but once you got the lead, you just kind of ran away from everybody.
Yeah, Gary, it was a great race. The start was a little funky. I wish it wouldn't have gone down how it did. I would have liked to, race those guys for the win rather than having them get penalized, but such was the rules. We decided to go on blacks for the start on the primary tire, and knowing that we're kind of going to be bunched up and racing there, I wanted to be able to push a little bit more and then just save the reds for later on if I needed to really make up some time. And just some opportunities popped up in front of me. Caleb kind of tried to self-penalize himself and let Nate by, which kind of put me in position to put some moves on him. and I was able to get by him on lap 1. And then with Nate, he got unfortunately for him, he got stuck behind a lap car over the hairpin, and it just left me too close and kind of went for a move. And after that, it was just managing the pace, managing the tires, and making sure that I didn't clip any walls or do anything stupid.
Does tonight's finish make up a little bit from last night? I know you were in a position kind of for a podium finish there in the FIS at the race we had at Suzuka Circuit. Kind of had a possible netcode incident there with Nate through 130R. Feeling a little bit more, a little bit better, a little more positive coming through the midweek into the final portion of this week after a win and after such a rough incident last night at FIS.
It's always great to get in victory lane and to take the guys over at Infinite to their first victory, my first win with them. So it's cool for that. I was having a great race with Nate last night, and just a netcode incident got me in spoon, and then I made a dumb mistake and wrecked with someone else later on. But that race is done and over with. We're on to next week. We're on to tonight. I always love Long Beach. It's a home track for me. I always do well here, so I always circle it on this calendar. So I need to probably just pay off these league guys and see if we can get like 1 to 2 Long Beach races a season, and then we'll make sure Gary's broadcasting them, and
There you
then
go.
we should be all right.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Steven.
And one interesting thing I noticed there, obviously the elephant in the room has been that start with Bruno Miranda and such, but one interesting I think I noticed with your strategy was, of course, you started on the blacks and you picked off opportunities you could there, and it seemed to go against the conventional wisdom that everyone else had. A lot of them started on the reds with a few exceptions, and the guy that kind of went against the fold won the day. Even if it seemed to me like the red tires were holding pace relatively well there. I'm guessing that how overall the strategy and the strategy feel for you overall, and how those how is the difference between the two?
Well, I felt like ultimately pace-wise, the Reds were the faster tire to be on.
Yeah.
But I was just afraid of them falling off at all. I hadn't done a very long stint in practice. I was mainly doing qualifying runs, knowing how important qualifying was and getting up towards the front. So I knew the way the lap count was and the way the fuel was, it was a lopsided race. We'd go further in the first stint than the second. So I just hedged my bet and made sure to put on the more durable tire for my long stint, and then it leaves my options open a lot as well in the second stint. I don't necessarily have to be the car leading, I could be the car attacking in the second half of the race rather than being on the slower tire and defending. I prefer that.
Mm. And of course, I'd be remiss to not ask about that start. Seems to be the hot topic of the day, but what would you? But I mean, we obviously knew that we thought that a penalty would be on the way for that, and it was rather odd when it did. Would you say you expected that sooner? And I'm guessing, I'm guessing when it did happen, and you were already in second place, that was going to be, and that was a big moment for your night.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it just comes down to it was explained to us before the start what the procedure would be. Bruno didn't follow the procedure. So whether he got penalized during the race, after the race, he was going to get something. And it just is what it is. It's unfortunate because I would have liked to race him because he had good pace. And I think with him on the blacks, because he started on reds, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, so with him on the blacks and me on the reds on the end, I think that would have been interesting to see how it went. But, I mean, you got to do something. And it's unfortunate the way it all went down, but we were all told how it was going to be, and this is the way it was going to go. And Caleb, even he kind of like he was third, so he started to go and then kind of backed off, but kind of went. But he, covered his ass and let Nate by to make sure that he wasn't going to get a penalty. And unfortunately for him, I was able to sneak by as well. And Bruno could have done the same thing. I mean, you got to know when you end up in turn 1, 2 seconds ahead of the guy in second, you got to be thinking, like, did I do something wrong? Like, what's going on here?
Right.
Nobody went.
Before we let you go, next week is iRacing Super Speedway. Your thoughts about that?
Um, if I come out of there with 4 tires and 2 wings, I'll be very happy.
I think a lot of other people feel the same way. Shout outs before we let you go.
I just gotta thank Garrett, JJ, Matthew, all the guys over at Team Infinite for having me on. They've been a great group of guys to race with. A lot of fun. Matt's very competitive. Me and him are pushing each other in practice week in and week out, and it won't be too long until he's right up there with me and hopefully right on the rear wing, not just in front of the front. JJ's improving every week, so it's good to see him out there. And we got some new guys who've just joined in the last couple of weeks, so it's nice to see the team growing and everyone's starting to improve. So I think as time goes and we all learn each other, it will only get better. So just thank you to those guys. Thank you guys for putting up the broadcast. It's something I can show my friends, like, hey, look, I'm good at this pretend race car thing.
Yeah.
And the Revolution Indy League for putting this on. And Schaeffer's for sponsoring the series. And that's all I got.
You got
Thank
it,
you,
man.
guys.
Well, we appreciate it. Congratulations on the win tonight, and we will see you next week at iRacing Super Speedway.
You sure it's not Long Beach?
He wants Long Beach on the schedule every week. You have a good
You
one,
certainly
man.
wish.
We'll see you there.
Good night.
All right. So before we wrap up, we do want to make sure that we get in a last word from Schaeffer's, and then we will wrap it up. So stand by for this 90-second ad from Schaeffer's, and we'll be right back.
Ever since I've switched to Schaeffer's oil, I've never had a reason to even try anything else. And that's one thing that I'm proud about, is the fact that I can't tell you how good something else is, because I know how good Schaeffer's oil is. My engine builders, Tony and Glenn Clements, have said about the oil we run. They've told us that out of all the motors that they get and rebuild every year, ours looks the best, and a lot of that has to do with the oil that we run. One of the things that I love about Schaeffer's oil is the fact that all of their reps are out in the field and at the racetracks with us, seeing what all the racers need, seeing what ideas we have or anything that we can improve on. And you just can't beat the customer service of having a rep for, one of the main components of our race team, whether it's at our engine oil, transmission fluid, rear end oil, having somebody there that represents that brand and also gives us support and also the knowledge that we need to be making the right calls and just helping us out with our entire racing program. It means a lot to our race team to have that. My name's Chris Ferguson, and I drive the number 22 dirt late model. I've been using Schaeffer's oil racing products since 2009. I absolutely have no doubt that we're using the best products that is possible for dirt late model racing.
All right, we're back, and I want to thank the guys at Schaeffer's for, of course, being title sponsor to the Revolution IndyCar League's Schaeffer's IndyCar Series. Your last words here before we move on to next week.
Well, Long Beach, no one ever said this race was going to be easy, and it certainly gave us a lot of things to talk about. And, well, controversy aside, Long Beach once again put on a great show, and it's any wonder why this track has survived so long in the hearts and minds of race fans across the country. And with such a big field, you knew there was going to be a lot of action. We certainly got our fair share of it, and for better or for worse, it certainly shows why Long Beach is as enduring as it is.
Next week, iRacing Super Speedway. I'm not quite sure what the announcing situation is going to be, whether Matt will be here. I'm pretty sure he will, because I don't see him wanting to race at iRacing Super Speedway. I, on the other hand, will be. I will be in the Schaeffer's car, attempting to make it through what could be utter carnage. But I've been in a couple races there where everyone, I think even with a lesser caliber of driver, and everyone just kind of kept it clean the most time. So you never know. We might see 75 laps or so of clean and green racing at the iRacing Super Speedway, but I wouldn't really hold my breath. So that's next week. So you might hear Matt and Steven, or it might just be Matt, or I don't know. But one way or another, we will be on the air for the Revolution IndyCar League and Schaeffer's to bring you the action from iRacing Superspeedway next week. Just want to put the schedule up on the board one more time. There you see next week, store brand Cola 225, which is the iRacing Superspeedway, 75 laps, and we'll have a break. Then we will do 40 laps at Red Bull Ring, 150 laps at the Nashville Superspeedway, 35 laps at Watkins Glen, and then we will wrap up the season February 23rd with 125 laps at Homestead Miami Speedway. Well, I think that's going to be doing it for night. Quite an exciting race. I'm sure it's going to be well talked about. I know that the Revolution IndyCar League does not have live race control, so that has a big reason of why what happened tonight. But something to look at maybe in the future, maybe needing race control, certainly when stuff like this happens. But then again, how often does stuff like this happen? So just so many different sides of the coin here. Don't want to badmouth anybody. Don't want to question anyone's calls too bad. I just wish that all things considered, it would have been more fair for everybody. But unfortunately, that's just the way that this kind of unfolded. And it looks to me that's pretty much the way everyone's kind of accepted it. So as long as the masses say they're all right with it, I really have nothing, really not much I can add or discount to it. So again, hats off to the league for having to make a tough call. So that pretty much will do it. I think let's get on out of here so we can both have our evenings back. And let's do this. That's it for tonight. Once again, your podium from Long Beach is Nicholas Johnson, Nate Seifert, and Caleb Binsey. Join Race First again next Wednesday. It'll be coming to you from the iRacing Superspeedway for Round 8 of the Revolution IndyCar League Schaeffer's IndyCar Series. That's next Wednesday night, 7:50 Eastern Time. Again, that's 7:50 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube at youtube.com/racefirst. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not an easy one, so please do leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of tonight's race. If you enjoyed tonight's coverage, support us by smashing like in the video, and if you're new, click subscribe. While you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you don't miss out more on Race First iRacing programming, including our continuing coverage of the official iRacing Fixed IndyCar Series, the Monday Night Indy Split, every Monday evening at 7:15 Eastern Time, and the Midwest Kidney Warriors Formula Indy Series on Tuesday evenings, approximately 8:45 Eastern Time. Join Race First for the best fixed IndyCar oval and road race coverage every week right here on YouTube at youtube.com/racefirst. For business inquiries to learn more about Race First and what we do, visit racefirst.com or follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Gary Gotzo on Twitter at Gary Gotzo. For Stephen Larkamp, everyone at Race First, I'm Gary Gotzo saying to all, good night, and to all of our men and women serving in the military, and us also as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Thanks for watching, everybody. Catch us again next week for the next race of the Revolution IndyCar Series, Schaeffer's IndyCar Series race. Good night.